character. That develops integrity and character in the kind of person that can't be controlled, okay? This kind of person is in liberty. They're making choices. They're in liberty. They're in full liberty. They're not mastered by anything outside of themselves other than God, who teaches us to be free, okay? So they have self-mastery, in other words, to greater and greater degrees as we apply this, as we learn, because knowledge is power. And so that's why I'm passing this on to you. Also, final words, support groups are important, 12-step groups, for example, and because they give you a tool and a process to go through in order for the repetition. Because if you're addicted to anything, you need constant repetition to lay down another neural pathway, and for that to get deeper and deeper and more second nature in your brain, so that it becomes part of your behavior, second nature, automatically. And so then you get more and more free of being the other way. You're learning to be another way. And so the 12-step groups, step 1, for example, was given by a Christian. It deals with idolatry, which is the root of unhealthy attachments. And so it gets us back to the higher power and God, the Creator, versus self-idolatry, which is what's gotten us off into error in the first place, thinking we knew better. No, we don't know better than the Creator, and so if you think you do, you got quite a few really bad losses and learning curves to go through, in life. And I'm certainly not saying this out of judgment. I certainly have myself, and this is how we learn, though, And some of us are more stubborn than others, so hopefully that doesn't lead to absolute destruction, which I've witnessed go down in my family. So I'm quite serious about this. That's why I'm so serious about it, because I really don't want to see that happen to anyone else, if I can help it. And so if this will just help even one person put together the dots in a way that helps them to come up with a personal plan and to start searching around things that may trigger you to overcoming and changing your life for the better, well, then it's been worth it. And so honesty and courage are required, because the very essence of any addiction is denial, and it's selfish in its nature, because it sacrifices other people, and that's whether you mean to or not. You are, because it's very selfish. Addictions are very selfish. It's very fear-based and very selfish. It's not something people doing out of faith and courage, and it's at the expense of other people, so that makes it selfish. And so we're all this way to some degree, but to the degree we're becoming addicts, we're becoming more and more selfish. That's what's happening, and more destructive. And so we need to face that, full on. People need us. They need us to be here, and they need us to be healthy and available, and to show them the way. They need mentors. The youth need mentors. And so most of all, though, the root of it is idolatry. And so God, it's a coming back to God. It's a coming back home to God. And when you do that to a certain place, you begin to realize He too has a name, because we're created in His image. We have a name. Why wouldn't He? We have identities. Why wouldn't He? He had an identity and a name first before we did. And so His name is King Jesus Christ. And this isn't a religion, this is a relationship. He gave His life for us in order for us to have His word, to have liberty. And He's releasing this knowledge through researches and investigation. And medical science is verifying the findings from the scripture, as is so well put together, much better than maybe what I'm doing in this video. I really highly recommend that you read Addiction and Grace by Gerald May. And so just to end, the results of all this is we learn to be free, to regain our freedom. Jesus Christ is God, and He's the one that's come to set us free. And He is the truth, and the truth is what sets us free from addiction, from deception, from bondage, from any kind of slavery, tyranny. The truth is what sets us free, and standing in that. And so His Word is the truth, and the medical findings are backing that up. As I've already said, we're hardwired in whatever it is we habitually do, and that can develop positive or very negative destruction habits or addictions at that point. And so the key is transformation from the old life or habits to the new, and regaining of liberty and power, love, sound mind, all that kind of stuff, in our willpower, not controlled by substances and people, unhealthy relationships, etc. So what I'm going to do now is read what Jesus said He'd come to do, and what came alive for me. Here, the year of the Lord's favor, Isaiah 61. The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is on me, because the Lord has anointed me to preach good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives, and release from darkness for the prisoners, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all who mourn and provide for those who grieve in Zion, to bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of gladness instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. They will be called oaks of righteousness, a planting of the Lord, for the display of His splendor. Now, He said what His mission was, and part of what His mission was, He said here, the Father sent Him, the Son, second person of the Trinity, anointed Him or gave Him power, is what that means, to preach good news to the poor, to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives, and release from darkness for the prisoners. Darkness means ignorance. And so hopefully I've given you some light here, because part of recovery is coming into the light, coming into the truth, coming out of the denial, get in the light, admit you got a problem, admit, get with other people that have the same problem, and together you're much stronger than by yourself. And so I highly recommend any of the 12-step groups for any problem that you may have with addiction. And like I said, we can become addicted to just about anything. And so Romans 12:2 now is what I'm going to read. Do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, His good, pleasing, and perfect will, because He's the God of life, and love is what the motivation for that was. And so with that, I've come to the end of my talk on addictions and attachments, and hopefully that helped you, as it certainly did me, and it was a lifelong quest that I had to learn and get through several degrees and research and all kinds of experiences, etc., that I've just passed on to you that may be helpful to you and or your loved ones to set you free. And so that's my talk for today, and God bless you. Bye-bye.